My name is Richard Ostrochovsky, and I welcome you to our lecture about Kanalia and our attempt at reconstructing what took place in an old house before we started living in it. As an introduction to the subject, we will screen a trailer for the short film that is the outcome of our reconstruction attempt.
Open for business.
A haunted house on a damned hill. Experiments of science and occultism. Led by two comrades and housemates. Without knowing what is waiting under the basement of their house. Kanalian Demon.
Touching it will just make your life even worse. Trust me, leave that thing alone.
Canalian Demon.
The cursed breath of radon, a radioactive silent killer, seeps from the soil of these lands. It is a poison that does more than rot lungs with cancer. It dredges up what sleeps beneath. Something older, hungrier. Dark forces we do not yet comprehend. Forces best left unnamed. Ancient, alien. Something that should have stayed buried. And when the heavy sky hangs low like a burial shroud, they rise strongest. And then the Geiger counters frenetically scream their decayed chants. Especially when the storm's eye opens.
That was a preliminary taste. Now, however, I will return to explaining how it all began and what all led up to it. At the beginning of the summer of 2024, I moved in with my brother Boris into an old manor house on a slope above the Danube. At that time, I was working in IT and working from home. But after moving in, I felt a strong calling to change that, as if some invisible hand began to guide me. I quit my job and started to speculate about what I would do instead. Since my younger days, I have loved the mysterious, and when I tuned in properly, various scary stories used to flow through me into this world, simply passing through my head and vocal cords outwards. And with them, I delighted my younger siblings during our shared evenings while they tried to fall asleep, and they still have traumas from those tales to this day. I wouldn't say that I made those stories up. It was too smooth for that, almost automatic. I simply became the mouth of some unknown source from which these bizarrely terrifying stories came. In some periods it was stronger, in others it seemed to subside. But with moving into that house, it gained unprecedented strength and intensity. I could feel how the house affected me, and my brother, who had been living there for a considerably longer time, also had his, let's call them, paranormal experiences in it. At the same time, we were finding certain traces and gradually piecing together the mosaic of what had happened in that house before us. I wanted it not to be forgotten, so I began writing it down. However, I felt that wasn't enough, that it was just words under which everyone can imagine something slightly different. And I realized that a complementary way to capture the house's influence was film. Especially since the house was slated for demolition, As the owner had other development plans for the site where it stood, I felt the urge to immortalize the house on video as well. And so, through the on-offline platform Squat, I enrolled in a course in screenwriting and directing, which had long fascinated me, and to which I had been close as a self-taught person even before that. Within the course assignments, I gradually developed the premise, the script, the technical script or shot list, and as part of the final and largest assignment, together with my brother and friends, I shot a short film about that mosaic we had pieced together regarding one of the critical periods in the house's history. First and foremost, we gradually realized that the house is merely the tip of an iceberg, as if it were the above-ground part of a mushroom, whose substantially more extensive mycelium, also interconnected with more distant locations, begins in the house's basement. We didn't get very deep or far, but due to certain characteristics of the part accessible to us, we gave the underground realm the working name Kanalia, and the entities occurring within it, and also affecting the spaces immediately above it, the working designation Things from Kanalia. I won't elaborate further now. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and therefore a video more than 1,000 pictures. So to introduce you to the subject, we will now screen our 10-minute film. I only caution you that the film is experimental to a certain extent, so take it with a grain of salt, and if anyone doesn't feel up to the experience, the right time to leave, or also to arrive, is now, not during the film.
Open for business.
Tattir mano mansison hazan sobar. hiker dans de roza. Ganda.
Shut it off.
Ganda.
Shut it off.
Ganda.
Yes, Faratos!
You haven't escaped, you know.
What are you doing? Stop it.
I'm not angry. Just go back. You really shouldn't be here. It's not too late for you to turn back.
For your own safety and the safety of others, please quit now, and cake will be served immediately.
Yo, she-bitch. Let's go.
You chose this path. Now I have a surprise for you. Deploying surprise in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm starting the clean. Okay. I am going to kill you now.
Starting now. There's going to be a lot less conversation and a lot more killing.
I'm not kidding now. Turn back, or I will kill you. I'm going to kill you. And all the cake is gone.
Please be careful. I don't want to tell you your business, but if it were me, I'd leave that thing alone. I wouldn't bother with that thing. My guess is that touching it will just make your life even worse. Trust me, leave that thing alone. You're doing very well.
This is your fault. It didn't it have to be like this?
You euthanized your faithful companion more quickly than any subject on record. Congratulations. Good job on that, by the way. Sarcasm, self-test complete. Fantastic. You remained resolute and resourceful in an atmosphere of extreme pessimism.
I feel sorry for you, really, because you're not even in the right place.
We are very, very happy for your success. We are throwing a party in honor of your tremendous success. I invited your best friend. Of course, he couldn't come because you murdered him. A party associate will arrive shortly to collect you for your party. When the party is over, you will be missed. The talking is over. Goodbye.
That's all, folks.
So you've seen it. You even laughed. Given the gravity of the situation, I'd say rather inappropriately. You saw what those things can do. Change form or control various devices. Most of you have a mobile phone with you, which could be taken over by them. They can modify what you send or share with others before it's sent, or what others send or share with you. They can thus turn someone against you, or you against someone, and trigger consequences that may have unpleasant effects on you, your close ones, and even those not so close. They can impersonate you or people you know. They can take control of your car or various parts of your household. The smarter it is, the more possibilities those things gain. I don't even want to imagine what could happen when such a foreign, inhuman intelligence, for example, takes control of the heating and door locks of your smart sauna while you're inside it, or your dog's self-tightening collar. Moreover, there are things we could not reveal in the film, and cannot reveal even in this lecture, partly so as not to cause panic, and also so as not to harm certain people who cooperated with us in our investigation and reconstruction, and whose privacy must remain protected. And now, something about the production of the film itself. The reconstruction script was written as early as the winter of 2024 to 2025, but due to the more demanding conditions at the shooting location during winter, we only got to the preparation of the shoot in spring, and we shot the first real take at the beginning of summer 2025. Since the story takes place after dark, during the short summer nights with late sunsets, we didn't have much time for actual shooting. So we generally proceeded at a rate of about 2 real takes per shooting evening, which we usually did in multiple attempts, from which we subsequently selected the best ones in post-production. The rough, more or less stable version of the film was completed in mid-July 2025, and the finalization took place in January 2026 on the occasion of the film's premiere at Prague's Svietozor Cinema, which was organized for us and the other graduates of the screenwriting and directing course by its provider, Skvot. We would like to express our gratitude to Skvot and the directing and screenwriting lecturers Zuzana Dubova and Marketa Saravanova for their valuable support in our creative work. One of the greatest benefits of shooting the film is that we prove to ourselves that we can do it, that we can shoot a film based on a script that's not exactly the easiest. For about half a year during development and pre-production, I had considerable doubts about whether I hadn't bitten off more than I could chew in my current situation, and whether I wasn't overburdening myself with something that wouldn't be worth it. In retrospect, I see it as the workload being proportionate. The whole process was very instructive, and the result was worth it for us, even though not everything went completely smoothly, and we had to deal with a number of problems. The very first one concerned casting, and for capacity reasons, we swapped the lead and supporting roles between the actors, as it turned out that Tomasz could dedicate more time, energy, and patience to the shoot than Boris, who was left with stunt work for the supporting character and some practical effects. To make sure we didn't forget anything, we applied project management to the film production with a project plan, which we continuously updated, adding new tasks, closing completed ones, and setting dependencies between them. The project plan was implemented through Google Sheets, with a structure of the main task list as we see in the image. For better organization and sharing of information, the current production status, or various inspirations, we set up a Discord server with a channel structure, as we see in the image. Since we were shooting in spaces where people also normally lived, we had to find a way to ensure that individual shots properly followed each other and were mutually consistent from the perspective of maintaining continuity. In other words, that various things wouldn't change their position or state between shots. We achieved this by keeping the part of the house where I lived in a certain standard and minimalist arrangement, and before each shooting evening, I would get everything back to the correct starting state, not allowing things to scatter between shots through indiscipline. We classified one room as a so-called storage room, and we didn't shoot inside it, but used it during shooting meetings to store everything that wasn't supposed to appear in the shots. Despite this, we didn't manage to guard absolutely everything, and several discontinuities can be found when watching the film carefully. We couldn't hide everything in post-production. This also happened because we didn't have a dedicated position of a so-called script supervisor, which, on larger productions, is a person whose job is precisely to oversee this. But there were too few of us, so each of us accumulated multiple roles or positions, which can also be seen in the film's end credits. However, we couldn't afford this luxury in all parts of the house, fixing the state of the interior arrangement for several weeks during the actual shoot. So, in the lower part of the house, we essentially had only one night to shoot all the key shots taking place there, so we cleaned it up once, shot it, and left it. The script itself was also a challenge. It's easy to come up with something, but the realization was more difficult in some aspects, because the script required special effects and certain skills from the actors that needed to be trained, such as shooting a crossbow or falling to the ground. Not everything could be trained successfully, and all the more special practical effects were needed. For example, the larval stage of the dark figure wasn't originally in the script. From the beginning, it was supposed to materialize as a live-action actor in disguise, but that materialization didn't look convincing, so we were coming up with various variants of special effects, including using a more complex system of fishing lines on rods made by Boris, which, however, was difficult to coordinate within our small crew, until we finally ended up with a dark snake which had substantially simpler requirements. It was pulled by a single fishing line. In the script, we had steam, a storm, lightning, thunder, for which we also speculated and tried various things, until we settled on the methods that were used in the final version of the film. Several things were improvised in various ways, resulting in minor deviations from or additions to the original script, which fortunately didn't degrade the final product, but, on the contrary, enriched it. Another thing I realized during the shoot was that I'm not comfortable being just the director, and not also the one who positions the camera and conceives the shots with it. As long as we had it divided between two people in the crew, me as the director preparing photo boards for the cinematographer, and the cinematographer setting up the camera, operating it, and presenting me with the outputs, we couldn't get off the ground, couldn't move from shooting test shots to real takes, because my effort to have all images under total control wasn't satisfied by that. But from the moment I took the camera into my own hands, because the cinematographer Dano had other priorities at that time and wasn't available, thanks to this shortcut, we started cranking out those aforementioned average 2 real takes per evening. What can you do? The more people on set, the more demanding the coordination. Nevertheless, even that initial more than a month of meeting in a broader lineup during what we might call pre-production, before the start of actual shooting, fulfilled its purpose, and with Dano's and also Sophia's generous help, we brilliantly clarified what we wanted to shoot and how we wanted to realize it, which props, accessories, recording equipment, and special effects to gather, which way leads and which doesn't. And while showing various versions of the film to different people, I also realized that I'm not comfortable when someone watches our film in my presence, so even today's screening in my presence cost me a certain amount of self-denial. Please, given the gravity of the situation, do not applaud at the end of the lecture, so that we don't provoke inappropriate optimism and the false impression that the risk isn't that great, or that we've won. We haven't. Far from it. We have reasons to believe that this is just the beginning, and the greatest challenges are still ahead of us. And if you want to support overcoming those challenges in some way, instead of applause, feel free to stop by us after this presentation, and we can talk about possible collaboration. Alternatively, if you have come across or will come across further findings about Kanalia and the entities emanating from it, let us know whether through our wiki on fandom, to which you are welcome contributors, or through our Discord server, to which more active contributors can obtain an invitation. Thank you for coming. If you have questions, now is the right time. If not, we can disperse and pretend that nothing has happened.